I can see them when they walk in. Their hair is on end, like their hair is standing on end. And they're like about to cry
Yeah.
because they just yelled at their kid before they got to the appointment, right? They never want to have sex. They can't sleep. They feel anxious. They're having palpitations. So this is the perimenopausal woman.
Welcome to Fated to Fabulous, the podcast for women who know that midlife is not the end. It's the beginning of something bold. Let's get into it. So, Vicki, let's get into it. The outskirts of menopause. Since you started your practice in menopause care, you
Right.
transitioned to menopause care, is it generally women in their 50s that are coming to see you?
Mostly, I'm going to say mostly. It's typically women who are just about done or done within the last couple of years. They tend to be a relatively easy group to take care of. It can be relatively straightforward, but not only women in their 50s. What I'm starting to see is women on the outskirts, if you will, on the other side, the younger perimenopausal women and the women who are older coming to see me as well.
What's the primary concern that you see for women coming in?
Sometimes it's so interesting. I love menopause care because it's a lot more, there's art there and not just science. Because
So cool.
every woman that comes in is different. Like it is not everyone looks like this. So sometimes it's the hot flashes, like those can be debilitating. Sometimes it's the majority of the time, you know what it is. It's the scale's gone up and they're just so
frustrated with
so
weight gain.
frustrated. But I do have some women coming in who are also seeking care because they've been more aware through social media of the benefits of hormone therapy for their later years and their health.
So let's get into the outskirts.
Okay.
So let's go to the younger woman
Okay.
population, the women in perimenopause.
So perimenopause, as everybody's probably aware, is a 7 to 10 year window before you hit menopause. And remember, menopause is a day, and after that, you're postmenopausal for the rest of time. That perimenopause period is no joke, and it's been very overlooked, not talked about for years. So women go in. So what's happening in that 7 to 10 year window is that progesterone levels are going down, testosterone levels start going down in the 30s, estrogen's all over the map. So it can look like changing periods, that meaning they're getting heavier, they're coming more frequently, or towards the end of the transition, typically they're getting lighter and spacing out. But there's a whole host of symptoms that comes with that hormone imbalance. So a lot of times the low progesterone, we're seeing women who are like, I can see them when they walk in. Their hair is on end, like their hair is standing on end. And they're like about to cry because they just yelled at their kid before they got to the appointment, right? They never want to have sex. They can't sleep. They feel anxious. They're having palpitations. So this is the perimenopausal woman. And again, women are being told, well, you're just a busy mom.
Yeah, suck it up.
Or here's birth control pills.
Yeah.
Or you can't have hormones. I had this one the other day, right?
Yes.
You can't have hormones until you've had 12 months without a period,
So
which is
not
insane.
true. What do we give teenagers?
Right,
Birth control pills,
right.
hormones.
And I think what we have to get in the habit of like getting comfortable with is that postmenopausal hormone therapy can very safely be used in the perimenopause period. Yeah. And it has far less hormone than what we're using in birth control pills.
Yes.
And it can really help. And it's so, like I said, it's interesting because everybody that comes in is in a different place. So when I see somebody, I'm listening to her symptoms and we're going to base therapy around that. And so sometimes it might look like we're doing some just progesterone, which can be a game changer. All of a sudden, she doesn't feel stabby and mean and she's sleeping and her period's lighten a little bit.
Yep.
Right. And it might be if she's flashing that we're using some estrogen. And if she has no get up and go and her sex drive is gone, it might be that her testosterone's low. So I can do some sort of variant of all of those. But it can be a game changer. And I think because of social media, thank goodness, right? Women are learning more. And so they're coming out and saying, I think they're blaming everything on perimenopause, which is okay because it probably is perimenopause. But, they're using their voices. It's just, again, finding access to care.
Dovetail on that. When I refer women to you, the perimenopausal woman who is struggling, who is crabby, hates her job, her kids are driving her nuts, she's not sleeping, all of those things, I will suggest they go and see you because they'll already have said, well, I asked my OBG about it or I asked my primary care and they said blood work is irrelevant at this point because it changes every day. And I always say, Vicki may do blood work if she thinks there's something useful, but she's going to look at your symptoms. She's going to listen to how you are and what isn't working. And she's going to help you manage your symptoms, not worry so much about blood work. Right. And I love that.
And I'm starting to hear a little bit more frequently that women they're coming back and they're like, my gynecologist said you can do some progesterone. And I was like, and it's not because the GYNs and PCPs in this area are fantastic. Again, this is a system-wide issue where there was no education about menopause for the last 20 years. So there's going to be a big learning curve for that one. So that's my perimenopausal woman.
Okay. So what about the woman who is, past the actual menopause date, right? Past that number day, 1 day, and on the other side of it, and they're coming to you.
So that would be the immediate postmenopausal woman. She's within a few years of her menopause. That's the one that's easy.
Okay.
The women who are past that 10-year mark, right, the 10-year window of safety there, who most people will not have a discussion with, they're pissed because they're now saying, wait a minute, I struggled through my perimenopause and my menopause, and now I have osteopenia.
Yeah.
I am not enjoying intimacy. We're not intimate anymore. I've had UTIs. I want to talk about estrogen.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I will have those discussions with women. Am I going to put Gladys, who's 87, right, who's in a nursing home on systemic hormones? Absolutely not. With unstable heart disease and smoking?
Yeah.
No. Am I going to have a conversation with the woman in her 60s and even 70s who's playing pickleball and, and doing all the right things? Yes. At the end of the day, every woman deserves to have the discussion about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I fall into that category, right?
Yeah.
So I am happily hormone treated. I am so happy
You
about
were
it.
right on the window.
I was.
And you got told the same thing.
I got told no. And to be honest, if I think too much about it, I am pissed. I'm pissed off that decisions were made about my well-being that were based on inaccurate data. That makes me a little bit nuts, right? So I'm, when women tell me, well, I'm pissed off. I'm 64. I had to suffer through it all. And, I didn't get any of that information. So yes, we need to, and those may be the women who might be the most satisfying, has whatever the most satisfied customers. I don't know if that makes any sense, right? But
yeah,
it's amazing, right?
It's the nuance of that is that these women coming in, so some of them don't have symptoms anymore. But they're there because they want to protect their bones and their heart, right? And it can be a little bit trickier because these women have been without hormones for so long. Reintroduction, they're going to have side effects.
Yeah.
So if I give you something, it may give you a little side effect, but you feel so miserable that you'll take it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just kind of the art of figuring it out. And at the end of the day, what matters to me is what somebody's coming in to see me for. What do they want? What do they want to see? Because if it's, my husband and I, we kind of really fell out of, off track with our sex life. But I'd like to get back to that. The kids are out of the house. We can be loud and have sex on the kitchen table. Yeah. I'm going to talk to them about, the role of systemic hormones and vaginal estrogen. Because I'm going to probably say this every podcast we have. Every woman can have vaginal estrogen.
Yes.
Should. Yeah. So that's kind of that population. It's just figuring out what makes the most sense.
So I've heard you say before that hormones are not the silver bullet. What does that mean?
I use that in two different ways. I do use that saying a lot. So on one hand, when I talk to women about hormone therapy, and they are, I'm doing the pros and cons and the risks and benefits and all the things. Some women are expecting a miracle. Like it's going to be, because you see it on social media, life-changing. And it can be, but it's not always. And so if a woman gets hormone therapy, but she's staying up until midnight folding laundry, she's not working out, she's eating like garbage, her stress is through the roof. It's not going to be as, so it's basically saying it's not the silver bullet, that you have to do some other things as well.
Yes.
And the other way I use silver bullet is that we are now excited and talking about menopause, which I love. And I don't think it's for every woman. And I want to be very mindful that there are women that can't take hormones, that aren't a candidate or not a safe candidate. And we want to make sure that everyone and their brothers now like, okay, let's get excited. Let's treat menopause. Let's learn about it. And we just don't want to go to a place where we're doing menopause care unsafely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just to sort of wrap up for our audience, this is what I heard. So the outskirts are the women who are in their perimenopause journey, who may not be getting any care, but deserve to be listened to, and that using hormones during that period of time can be very helpful, especially for specific symptoms that they're experiencing, right? And that they all deserve to have the conversation about it.
That's like take home right there.
Yeah.
Like every woman deserves to have the conversation.
Yeah.
To be heard.
Yeah.
And to make educated, informed decisions that we share together.
Yeah.
Very important. Side note, ladies, for next time, not every woman is a candidate for hormones, and I said that. And not every woman wants them. So what I want you to know is that doesn't mean suffer in silence. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There is such a huge toolbox of things that can help you medically and naturally to feel better if you're not a candidate or don't want hormones. So stay tuned. There is help for all.
We will have that discussion about all the other good things that can be helpful for all the symptoms. And
be well. Thank you so much for joining us.
bye, ladies. Stay fabulous. Thanks for spending time with Vicki and I today on Fated to Fabulous, where midlife is just the beginning of your boldest chapter. Until next time, stay fabulous.